This week on the Woven Energy podcast.
Shamanism is not a form of entertainment. We don't do these things to entertain people. They'll start doing it, and a crowd will form around them, and people will sit and listen. It's a technique that uses sound. There's several levels to Hoemeelukh, but no prizes for guessing how to start. And that's one of the ways you can tell if you do it for a long time and your throat's not getting tired. You know you're doing it right, because that sound's coming right from down inside your chest. It's not coming from inside your throat. They are sounds that are particularly created in order to create resonance within the body. The key point is this is a demonstration of the sound that you make. But obviously, we're doing a podcast. That's not me properly in the shamanistic state. Shamanism is a useful tool. It's even useful within a civilized, settled society. It just changes its form. The heart is so important in shamanism, and the heart gives its own rhythm. Your breath has an out wave and an in wave. When it's finished its out wave, the drum clears the way. Techniques are there to put you in a place where the best teacher on the planet, the book Mundi, the book of the world, the book of nature, the best teacher on the planet is teaching you. That's effectively what these techniques are. They're doorways into Mother Nature's classroom.
Hey guys, it's Joe here with Damon Smith for another episode of the Woven Energy podcast, here to bring you shamanism from the ground up. So we are back into it with episode 19 after a short break, and this week we are going to continue with our look at the Amskar, which is stage 2 of learning shamanism, and go in depth into yet another technique. So that's what you can look forward to in this episode. But before we dive into that, I just want to let you all know where we are right now with these podcasts. It's been an absolute blast putting these podcasts together and working with Damon, and I can't quite believe we are here at episode 19. If someone told me back when we first started that we would have 19 episodes recorded, as well as the shorts, as well as the Q&A session, and the exclusive Get Started episode, which is only available to our email subscribers, I would have thought no chance. But there we go. And I want to give a big shout out to everybody out there who's been emailing in with all your very kind messages of support. It's what keeps us going, so thank you very much. Now, if you want to get your hands on that exclusive Get Started episode, which isn't listed in the main episodes, head over to wovenenergy.com/start-here. That's wovenenergy.com/start-here, or simply go to wovenenergy.com and click the link at the top of the site. It goes over what we're all about here at Woven Energy, but most importantly, it goes over the first thing you need to do to get started with shamanic technique. Now, it's also become apparent that, again, podcasting is awesome for certain aspects of discussing shamanism and getting a lot of information across, but perhaps not the best for teaching the actual shamanic techniques, which might need a different form, such as video. So while it's still early days, we are talking about putting a membership site together where we could potentially get deeper into these techniques, especially like stage 3, and explore other ways of getting this over to you guys, which is the best we can possibly do for you and your learning experience. So watch this space. So where are we now with episode 19? We are battling our way through the various actual techniques in stage 2 of learning shamanism. And we've gone over 2 techniques, which can be found in episodes 17 and 18. Notice that I'm saying techniques and not exercises. We are now into shamanism for real. And if this isn't quite making sense to you right now, please don't worry. The very last episode we did, which was called The Bedrock of Shamanism, is for you. And you can, of course, grab it on iTunes right now. So we have stage 1, chillicity, which everything rests on. Without this, you ain't practicing shamanism. I'm sorry. This is what separates this podcast and Damon's teachings from the various other sources on shamanism out there. Then we have stage 2, which is where we are right now, and it's called the Amskar in Mongol shamanic tradition. So I'm going to pass you all on to Damon to take us through another stage 2 technique. So Damon, how are you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, Joe. How are you?
Not bad at all.
We've had a little bit of a break, haven't we? So,
we have. Yeah.
Little things like Joe getting married and going gallivanting around the world.
Yeah. Wouldn't miss it, though. Wouldn't miss it.
So we'll see how we get back into the swing of things or don't, as the case may be. So I think we've done... Is it two Amskar exercises? I think we did Bucking Hengreg and we did Delgach. Is that right?
Yes, we've done those 2. Bucking Henrik being the drum technique. Am I saying that right? Bucking Henrik?
Yeah, that's fine, mate.
Buch gegen Henrik, which is a drum technique, and that's episode 17, I think. And then Delgech, which is a movement technique, and that's episode 18.
Yeah. So one of the things, one of the techniques I wanted to go over is Hoemeelukh. I think we've said previously, there's an awful lot of Amskar techniques, and depending on which branch or tradition of shamanism that you study, there'll be a whole host of Amskar level techniques. They may not call it Amskar, but Amskar level techniques in that branch, and they won't all be the same as each other. But what there will be in common is there'll be a lot of them. Hoemeelukh is one that I want to pick out because it's quite different from anything we've done so far.
Just out of curiosity, I know we don't like talking about labels and names, but are there any other traditions other than Mongol traditions that have names for the stage 2 techniques? I'm thinking if anybody else is into a different branch of shamanism.
Definitely. We will actually be, well, it depends how long we spend on the Amskar level techniques, but we will actually be using some, if we stay on it for a while, we'll be using some Japanese names for some Amskar level techniques. I use the Mongol names because that's what I'm most familiar with. As you know, I studied shamanism academically, and as part of that study, I had to learn the Mongol language, and this stuff became very familiar to me. But as you know, I know Chinese and Japanese, shamanistic and esoteric, shamanistic related traditions. I had quite a lot of, let's say, hands-on experience in those places. And so I know a good deal, a number of techniques, names from those traditions, but definitely, of course, in all traditions or most shamanistic traditions, these things will have names, but we need not to get hung up on the names.
Exactly.
The names in Mongol I quite like because they tend not to be like the kind of way that we name things in the West, where we put things in little boxes and then sort of stick a mental label on that box. They're much more, the names are much more characteristic of the experience in Mongol rather than kind of nouns, So the one I wanted to talk about today is Hoemeelukh. Hoemeelukh is quite well known in Mongol society in general. It was originally a shamanistic technique, and still is used as a shamanistic technique, but some people use it almost as an art form in Mongolia today. And there are people who are, let's say they're good at it in a way of execution rather than good at it in a way of shamanism, where somebody who's was studying shamanism, you would say they were good at it because they're using it to generate a non-ordinary state of being, and to derive feedback from nature. We said our initial route into nature is through the breath, and through the way in which the breath relates to the body and the human physiology. I think we went over that in a couple of episodes. But there are some people.
Episode 16, I think.
Yeah. There are some people in Mongolia who aren't really into shamanism, but they do Hoemeelukh in a way of an art form, and some of them are incredibly good at it in terms of a performance art form. And listening to some of these people, it's absolutely beautiful. You certainly won't get that from me. You might get a little demonstration out of me, but you certainly won't get that from me. To a certain extent, I don't care about that. Shamanism is something that a shaman studies for the purpose of becoming an undifferentiated part of nature. And it's a wrong way to look at it. Shamanism is not a form of entertainment. We don't do these things to entertain people, but with Hoemeelukh, some people have got so good at what I'm saying is they've got so good at the execution of it that they do indeed do this. They'll start doing it, and a crowd will form around them. And people will sit and listen. It's a technique that uses sound. No prizes for guessing how to start Hoemeelukh. There's several levels to Hoemeelukh, but no prizes for guessing how to start. First, you achieve a state of chillisty.
Oh, there we are.
And if you can't do that, then you're back to the first stage. Yeah,
back to episode 7, 8, 9, and now our short, which was the very last episode.
Yeah, and we'll no doubt do future episodes on Chillicity. But joking aside, I think as you said in the intro, without Chillicity, then you're barking up the wrong tree, really. So first you slip into a state of Chillicity. Now this Hoemeelukh uses sound inside the body. We're used to sound outside of the body. We say you go to a pop concert or something like that, and you sit and you listen, and the band hopefully make pleasant music, and you enjoy it, and you enjoy the experience. That's
in some cases.
Yeah, that's kind of external sound, Yeah. But internal sound is what shamanism uses, is sound inside the body. And we use it a bit like a kind of ultrasound. You know the way they use an ultrasound to, for instance, in pregnancy, they'll use an ultrasound and they'll put sound waves into the body. And it kind of gives a picture of the inside of the body. And this is very much what Hoemeelukh is like. We use these special sounds, and they are sounds that are particularly created in order to create resonance within the body. And in a way, in a state of Chillicity, you put some energy into the body, and the body replies. It's almost like a conversation. The body replies. And that reply is the start of that learning from nature. So the basic of the technique is you can do this sitting. Most people do it sitting, sort of cross-legged or something like that. But you can sit on your knees, sit in the Japanese seiza type of position if you want to. You can sit in a chair. You can do it as I often do it, sitting in the car while you're driving along on a long monotonous journey. It's good to practice the technique there. When you're sitting, you need to be relaxed. But that doesn't mean that you're vague. I try to explain what I mean by that. You sit in a relaxed state, and a lot of people, when they sit in a relaxed state, they sort of start to blur out, or they they become dull. Hoemeelukh is a bright and shining technique. Your spirit is shining, and there is the link between you and the environment is not dulled in any way. And if you find that happening, then you're probably not approaching it in the right way. If you remember what we said about holding on to the environment, being part of the environment, not allowing a separation to occur between you and the environment, that's very, very important in Hoemeelukh. Mm-hmm. So Hoemeelukh uses these vowel sounds. The vowel sounds, so they're very similar to the way that the vowels are sounded in the Japanese language and in the Mongol language. But these particular vowel sounds are, let's say that they are very similar to the vowel sounds found in the Japanese language, and they are similar to some of the vowel sounds found in the incredibly vowel-rich Mongolian language. But they are physiological vowel sounds. They're not vowel sounds that are kind of invented. There's something very fundamental about them, and they are the sound a, e, o, u, and e. These are and if you pick up a tape or audio recording on the Japanese language, they start teaching you the Japanese vowels. You'll hear them in a different order. You'll hear them the a, e, u, e, o. But in Hoemeelukh, we do them a, e, o, u, e, like that, and we don't say them like I just said it.
Something which springs to mind right now is obviously it could be the esoteric meaning behind the Om of in
there's a relationship there.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a relationship there. But the key point with Hoemeelukh is these vowels are not made in the throat; they're made in the chest, inside the chest cavity. So there's no way around this. I have to give a bit of a demonstration. So very often when I'm making one of these sounds, I start with a sort of this kind of sound. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my lead in to it. And then I will open up my throat, raise my head and open up my throat to allow the sound to come out the chest and form, a level one, just one of these vowel sounds. So for instance, we go more. Yeah. This type of sound. So that was the R sound.
Cool.
I don't know how the mic picked that up or not. But you notice at the end of it, I ended on a sort of, I changed the sound when I finished. I changed it into a E sort of sound.
Well, I can't actually hear what your mic's picking up, but I'll tell you, because I'm very experienced with audio, just take a step back from the mic and just make sure you're kind of at the same distance from the mic and try again. Then I know at least we've got a decent recording of it for the audience.
Okay, well, I'll just follow your instructions, Joe. So I'll do a different sound this time. Let's go with the next one, E. So, as I said at the end, I use either the E sound to cut it off or an sound to cut it off. Yeah. It's not good to cut the vowel dead. You need some sort of finish. But the key point is this is a demonstration of the sound that you make. But obviously, we're doing a podcast. That's not me properly in the shamanistic state. But if you just listen, I'll sink it deeper and deeper into the chest. So we'll do the next one. I'll sink it deeper and deeper in the chest, and hopefully you pick up on the fact that my body starts vibrating, physically vibrating, and the vibrations move through my body cavity as I sink the sound in. So let's do the next one. So. So what physically happens is these sound waves start vibrating through the body cavity, and when you're in a state of chillicity, which I'm not fully in at the moment because we're having this discussion and I'm demonstrating the sounds and I'm thinking about that, but when you're fully in the state of chillicity, you get a reply. You start to get a reply from the body.
Like the ultrasound.
Exactly like the ultrasound. And you start to see, actually, it's not see, it's not see in terms of what you would see with your eyes on an ultrasound screen, but you start to see the reality of the inside of your body, because, we're quite ignorant of that in a way. We're I guess less ignorant than previous generations in terms of the physicality. You got your heart and your liver and your lungs and, spleen and digestive system and all this kind of stuff. But actually, there's another reality to that. When you see pictures of that, it's not quite the same as the reality as what's really inside there. I don't mean it's structurally different. I mean that the parts of the body, they all have flavors, the way in which the echo is not the same, and you can get a very vivid understanding of the energy. This is all about energy, the energy that's inside your body. And the thing I really like about Hoemeelukh, this sort of first level of Hoemeelukh, is in many of the traditions that fell out of shamanism, for instance, what now gets called Qigong in China, they kind of teach you an understanding, a model for understanding how the energy is supposed to flow through your body. The advantage of Hoemeelukh is nobody teaches you that. Your body teaches you that. Yeah. So don't have to, start looking for certain orbits and energy meridians and all that kind of stuff. Your body teaches you what's really going on. It doesn't teach you in a way you could write down in a paragraph. It teaches you in an experiential way what's actually going on in there. And this is really, really important, because your body is not static. It's not a static thing. There's continual change going on inside your body. And that change is a change of energy, and energy in different forms. We've talked about that, the scientific basis of that, with ATP and the nervous system. We could probably talk about that in more detail later on when we're back on our general interest episodes, or different aspects of that. It's a big subject. Yeah. But using these sounds in a state of chillicity, so you're not imposing. In a way, you empty your cup. They say you can't put tea in a full cup. So you're not just stood there going like that. You're in a complete state of chillicity here. Yes, And what you're absolutely not doing is, I don't know how to describe it, but you're certainly not like, hey, I'm just chilling out, man. Not that kind of thing, right? It's nothing like that. There's nothing nebulous about it. It's very keen. It's very harate, yeah? It's very,
Is that so you can pick up on these vibrations?
No, picking up on the vibrations if you practice the technique. And the great thing with this is if you've got any time to yourself sitting in the car, this is a great time to practice that technique. Just the technique of generating that sound within your chest with these 5 sounds. Practicing sinking the sound down into your chest so you can get the vibrations going. You have no problem at all once you've got the technique down. You have no problem at all sensing the vibrations within your body. What I'm talking about is the reply to those vibrations. If you think of that as your one side of your conversation, what comes back is the thing you're interested in. What comes back to you from nature, i.e. from your body, in response to you sending those vibrations through your body. That's what you're really interested in. And you'll know if you're in a state of chillicity because you won't be able to pick up on that response unless you are.
So you have to be relaxed, sat down, and keen. It's a keen feel. It's like... It's you used to have that, Joe. We shouldn't have taken the break. It's been a few weeks, David.
Yeah.
Can you do this stood up? Is this a strict thing?
Is that asking for another demonstration? Because we've got a couple of sounds to go, so I'll stand up and I'll do ooh. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I'm saying is, it's not a strict thing. Then you don't have to be sat down. You don't have to be so. Because I mean, very rarely do you ever say it has to be this way. It's like, but practice your toshal teen. So that's the response I usually get.
Before I do ooh sound, the next kind of level of it is to vary between the sounds mid sound. Mm-hmm. Moving from one to another, ending on a E or M or N sound. But so what I'll do is then I'll do the last 2 vowel sounds, oo and eh. I'll do them, and I'll vary between them so you can see what that sounds like. Yeah, but I'll do it standing up to prove you can do it standing up. Yeah, so. So that would be a very simple variation. But you can do more complicated patterns. You can do like... Now, I wouldn't vary that fast for real. That's just to give a demonstration of moving between these sounds. This alternating between the sounds makes different patterns of variations within your body. You don't want to do it as fast as I did it there because you won't have time to pick up on the responses. But sometimes there are responses that come back inside the transition that don't come back when you're using kind of a pure...
So this is where the element of toshal teen can come in, because we can start off... This is something which flows out and you can move between the vowels at random if you wanted to.
I wouldn't say it's at random. I would say it's as the spirit takes you.
Yeah.
And what you'll find is you'll find you want to move between the vowels. You'll find that I don't mean want to, you're thinking about it. I mean that naturally that will start occurring.
Yeah.
But normally I do this over quite a long period. You might be doing this for 10, 15 minutes. Doesn't really matter. You just stop when you stop. But it's not really, if you're doing it right, it's not tiring on your throat like singing or, even long periods of public speaking. I stand up in front of people and speak quite a bit for my job. That can tie your throat. This doesn't tie your throat out at all, because if you're doing it right, it doesn't. That's one of the ways you can tell. If you're doing it for a long time and your throat's not getting tired, you're doing it right, because that sound's coming right from down inside your chest. It's not coming from inside your throat. So that's the basics of it. And, I say, the level 2 start of this Hoemeelukh, start varying the technique in terms of changing from one vowel sound to another. And then there's a sort of, and so I want to say practice that for a while. I mean, I practice this all the time. I love this thing. I practice it all the time, but I'm, like I say, I don't do it for entertainment. I'm not trying to get to the standard of the guys who attract a crowd in Mongolia, because they do it in a kind of different musical set. It's not musical, but in an entertaining kind of way.
So to make this really clear, if someone was to practice this technique, you'd say start out with the single vowels first. Start out with the single vowels first and then progress on to just practice making sure you can make those sounds first.
Yeah. So if you want to know what the sounds are, I mean, they're done inside the chest, but they're R, E, O, U, E. You start practicing them in that order. But if you want to hear what's the correct sound, then just pick up any tutorial on Japanese language, episode 1. Hopefully it'll tell you how to pronounce the vowel sounds in Japanese, which are similar to the vowel sounds in Mongol. But they'll tell you them in the order A, I, U, E, O. But that doesn't matter. It's the same sounds, yeah. And so that's kind of level 1. Practice it. I practice single sounds, have done for years and years and years, don't feel any need to stop doing that. So it's not like you stop doing level 1 and then go into level 2 and vary them. It's just like, you build out your understanding of what's going on. And then later on, you can extend it. Also, how far you can extend that vibration through your body, If you start getting it down into your legs and out into your arms, then you're doing it really well. If your legs and arms are feeling the vibrations coming through. I mean, genuinely, don't start imagining it. The imagination trap. If you're genuinely getting those vibrations through into your arms and legs, then you're doing it really well. But inside your body cavity is not that difficult. Inside your upper body, your lungs area, because it's quite hollow inside your lungs, and also your liver is quite spongy, spleen, that kind of area. Getting the vibrations in there is easy. Getting it further afield takes a bit of work, but it can be done. So that's level 1 and 2 of it.
So your whole body starts vibrating.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can get it, your fingertips and toes, you're done on level 1. At least you're good as you need to be on it. You don't need to be any better than that, But that's
I swear, this is the root. This must be the roots and the origins of Om in India. I know I've mentioned
absolutely.
It, but
absolutely,
it must be.
Yeah. Yeah, and things like Shikirai in Japan and all these same things, they all have the same kind of roots,
Which is shamanism.
Well, it's shamanism and what shamanism became when we invented civilization, which is esotericism. That's my definition of the word esotericism. Shamanism is a useful tool. It's even useful within a civilized, settled society. It just changes its form. It doesn't really change what it is fundamentally, but it changes its form for 2 reasons. One is the needs of people within civilized societies are somewhat different from hunter-gatherers. And the other reason is, of course, for self-protection. That's where, a lot of this stuff, is preserved inside secret societies and, shall we say, branches of religions that are more, we've talked about before, branches of religions that are more shamanistic leaning. But these things lead on, and there are always, all of these techniques have layers and layers and layers. And so, as we said before, if you get really good at this type of technique, you can start building more layers on. If you particularly like it, I quite like this one. If you particularly like it. So for instance, you can use the drum for clearing. So what I mean by that is, just let me grab my drum down. You can use the drum for clearing, which is when you finish the out breath, the sound, you just let it die. This is a demonstration. I'm not doing the technique here. This is just a demonstration. I'm speeding it up. It would be much slower than this, but it'd be like. And so on. And so basically you're using the sound of the drum to clear your breath. So that is when your breath your breath has an out wave and an in wave. When it's finished its out wave, the drum clears the way. So the vibrations of the drum pick up from the vibrations within the body and clear the way for the next start of vibrations to build. That's an example of an extension technique you can do on it. And actually, if you hit your drum, if you got the drum the way we were talking about before, my face is down into the drum. When I hit that, those vibrations, they go through my skull, through my chest, through my body. I'm using the vibrations of the drum. And it's much harder with the vibrations of the drum because they're much more subtle. But if you've been practicing a lot Hoemeelukh with generating your own strong vibrations inside the body, you get yourself in a state where that echo, the conversation, if you like, from nature coming back to you, you get into the mode where you're picking up on that quite easily. Then you can use the drum to learn more about yourself from a different perspective, if you like, from outside perspective. And so that's what I call clearing. And then, as it builds, I don't know whether to mention the next thing or not, because it's probably a bit advanced, maybe come back to it. Well, anyway, so you could try those things. If you like, 3 things. One is just doing the vowel sounds, in a state of Chalisti, and then picking up on the feedback in a state of Chalisti, Burchika Tarate. Go back and listen to the podcasts on Burchika Tarate. And pick up on what your body is telling you about the energy inside your body. And then start alternating between the vowel sounds more slowly than I did when I was demonstrating. And pick up what happens during those changes and what's in, like we said with the spirit dance, the more rich the patterns that you create, with Hoemeelukh, the more you're going to learn. I'm talking about over a long period of time. You don't want to do all this stuff quickly. In my case, over years and years and years, even decades, And then, if you like, level 3, you can start using the drum to release the breath. That's when the vibrations die away. You can put some vibrations from the drum in. And also that it gives a good effect of releasing the breath because, it's that same thing we were doing previously where it's not so much you're hitting the drum, but the drum is hit as the breath turns. As the breath starts to turn. It
reminds me very much of the Booking Hengar technique, what you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, the thing I'm not too sure whether I should be talking about it or not, but, you're in a state of Chalisti, the heart is so important in shamanism, and the heart gives its own rhythm. The heart is creating very, very subtle vibrations within your body, but if you're good at Chalisti, then you're going to be picking up on those vibrations as well, and those vibrations themselves within this exercise, they also they constantly can start to give you information about the energy change within yourself. And what's very, very interesting, what you find, it's not so much something you start to do, it's something that you find as you progress with this technique and you get more experience with it. You find that the vibrations of the heart, the beating of the heart, kind of makes patterns with the other vibrations that you're putting into your body from the Hoemeelukh sounds in your chest. And also from from hitting the drum, there's kind of I wouldn't want to call them harmonic patterns or harmonic interference, but there's definitely a crossing going on. We said we called this podcast Woven Energy, didn't we? All of nature is a rich tapestry of different types of energy weaving together, and it's so complex that you can't understand it in your brain. You can try to, but they're just I guess. There's probably not enough cells in your brain to understand it. It's so complicated. And that would be understanding it on the baseline anyway, even if you did have enough cells in your brain, It's incredibly complicated. And
if anyone wants to listen more about that, that's episode 4, our bias for the baseline. It's a great episode going really deep into that concept.
Yeah. So sometimes you learn a lot through different energy patterns crossing over each other. So there's an easy one. I say easy, it's quite difficult, but an easy one as a progression of Hoemeelukh. If you really like this technique and you get on with it and you think, maybe you might consider it one of your main shamanistic techniques. There's a lot to choose from. But you get on with it, then, the the heart is there all the time. The heart's going, it's beating, and you won't, what I'm saying is, if you consider that as kind of level 4, you won't be able to not do that if you get good at this technique. That makes sense, because the heart is there. You have no choice over that. And if you're picking up on what's going on inside your body, you won't have any choice but picking up on.
It's a natural progression. It's not as if you need to go.
Exactly. So pretty much that's all there is to Hoemeelukh. It's one of these things that's, I guess it's relatively easy to describe as shamanistic techniques go. But it's an incredibly rich technique, and I think, go away and practice it. Go away and try it. If you do get on with it, then, it can be wonderful. It can be wonderful. But what I would warn people against is, this is not a performance art. I know some people do Hoemeelukh as a performance art, and if you search around, maybe you'll find somebody doing it, and it does sound amazing, I have to admit, but that's nothing to do with shamanism.
Yeah.
The key point here is that you're using this to learn about you, but you, not you, the person who's been taught by your society since you're a child to where you are now in your life, but you, what's physically you, what's you that has nothing to do with that stuff. I wouldn't say the real you, but the part of you that's a part of nature.
So, to that end, would you say that this is quite an insular technique then? This
Not
is
really.
a technique to look inside you.
To start off with, yeah. But as we said, these are all linked into the breath. They're all linked into the breath. And our breath is our route in to start understanding the tapestry of nature. As we progress, so inevitably, you can view the Amsco level techniques, all of them, is somewhat insular. But when you get on with them, you find out they're not. You find out that's kind of what we call it, a beginner's misconception.
Yeah.
When you get on with them, you find that they're anything but insular. But they seem to be when you start off, because this is our door in. Remember we said, if you think of shamanism as a ball, then Chalisti is the door in the ball, and maybe the Burmese Amska is the welcome mat just inside, just inside, what a metaphor. But yeah, okay. So that's its purpose, yeah.
That sounds fantastic. So let's just clarify this one more time. Let's just make this quite simple. So, or as simple as we can. Let's just, if somebody is just completely starting out with this technique, they've mastered Gelicity to a certain extent, and now they're moving on to the Amsco and they want to use this technique, let's just run through the 5 vowels just once more, one after the other. And then if you could, just give one quick demonstration of each, just so that we know we're all on the same page here and we're not mixing them.
As long as we're clear, you do these slowly, you don't do them quickly.
Yeah. Even
when you're mixing them together, I'll run through them. So it's A, E, O, U, E. Yeah. So. There you go.
Okay, so we don't. So I must have got this wrong. Then we don't separate them. We don't just take one vowel and do that, and that's it. We do all 5 vowels in one sweep.
No. That's what I just said. That's not what you do. Yeah, if you want to, then you can, but that's kind of level 2. Yeah. So okay. I was just getting through them quickly. If do you want me to do them separately? I'll do them separately. Okay.
Yes, please. Let's make this as clear as we can.
Okay, because I don't want to give the wrong impression and do them short. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can still go ma. No, that's wrong. Yeah. Okay. So. So that's them individually. But
Grand.
even when you're starting off, I wouldn't even try all 5. Just go with that. Yes.
Yeah.
Stuff,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's basically you just go as long as you can. Then,
and you can probably tell. Actually, the final one is the most difficult. So this why it's not the order that they do them in Japanese language, or it's the same vowels, A, I, U, E, O. It's A, I, O, U, E, because E comes last because that's the most difficult.
Yeah, I've noticed you starting each one with that sound as well.
Yeah,
and ending with that sound.
Well, sometimes I end with a sometimes I end with a E. Just as the mood takes me, but in that case, I wanted to do or you can end with a sound. But what I'm saying is, you shouldn't cut the vowel dead, so don't do this. So listen. Don't do that. That's just dreadful. Dreadful.
Yeah.
You won't get very much out of that cut. I mean, that's. When we come on to Atriums, that's shard, let's not go there. Let's not go there. Just yet. Okay, fantastic. Well, that's all to come anyway. Okay, great stuff. So, one thing I do want to say is, and you've mentioned this before in a previous episode, I can't remember which one, but you mentioned that don't do all of these techniques. Don't do all of them. We are going to go over quite a few because it's important that there's a spectrum for people to choose from. But once you get onto stage 2, it's more just pick 1 or 2, maybe 3 maximum, and that's it. Would you agree with that? And then just really run with it and try and find what works for you. And there's no right and wrong rules with this stuff. You could be a good shaman knowing only a few techniques in a lot of depth, with a lot of variety within each individual one of those techniques. You could probably be a good shaman with knowing quite a few techniques in a reasonable amount of depth, with 1 or 2 in a lot of depth. Don't try and force anything. This is the real thing. You let the techniques teach you. You'll know what sits with you and what doesn't, but allow nature to teach you that. Don't set out with a set of rules. This is not about that stuff. That command and control thing, people being used to being told what to do by society, that's the exact opposite of what we're talking about. Every shaman has to find their own way, but techniques are there to put you in a place where the best teacher on the planet, the book Mundi, the book of the world, the book of nature, that the best teacher on the planet is teaching you. That's effectively what these techniques are. They're doorways into Mother Nature's classroom.
Fantastic. And on that note, thank you very much for listening. It has been a while since we've done one of these episodes, so I'm looking forward to getting back into it. Check out the website, wovenenergy.com, and like I mentioned before, grab your episode on to get started, which is wovenenergy.com/start-here, or simply go to wovenenergy.com and fill in your details at the top of the site and you can get hold of that. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll keep you all in the loop about the website, the membership site, where we might look at putting some more in-depth tutorials up there. Thank you very much, and we will see you next week.